All right, everybody, welcome in to another episode of the College Report podcast. It is Tuesday, February 20th. Tyler Bennett is my name. I'm back again for the second day in a row, trying to get a hang of this daily podcast thing. It's a challenge, you know. Like I said yesterday, moved to a new city, started a new job today, so trying to build that routine and kind of build that system so we can keep this coming out every single day for you, Monday through Friday, that is, and then we'll go from there. We're going to dive right into it. It's a big day today in college basketball as the NCAA finally handed down their sanctions against Louisville from their escort sex scandal. And during Rick Pitino's time with the Cardinals, we'll talk about the sanctions that were handed down by the NCAA. We're going to look at a couple conference races that really got more interesting after Monday night's action. We'll touch on a pair of those. And Delaware State is on the board with a conference win. We'll touch on that game and a few others from Monday night's results. This is the College Court Report podcast. All right, we're going to jump right in here with Louisville. They released a statement, or they sent out a release this morning saying they were going to make a quote-unquote major announcement at about 12:05 p.m. Eastern time today, and they did not disappoint. The Cardinals announced the sanctions that were handed down by the NCAA in regards to that escort scandal. They are required to vacate all of their wins from the 2011-2012 season through to 2014-2015. I believe that's over 120 wins or something like that. They're to vacate the 2013 national title in which they won over Michigan and their 2012 Final Four appearance. They are also to return the money they received as a part of the revenue sharing from their tournament appearances in 2012 through to 2015. That's 4 years worth of tournament revenue that they have to return. So that's a big chunk of change if you're keeping track at home. And then you add that into their self-imposed postseason ban in 2016. The NCAA brought the hammer down on Louisville, as they should. But then it also brings into question why them and not North Carolina with their academic scandal. And it's a question that's never really going to get answered, I don't think, in the fact that why the NCAA favors more programs than others. And I get the easy answer is their money. They make the most money. But Louisville's a big-time school in its own right. They bring in a lot of money as well. So it's interesting to see how heavy-handed they came down on the Cardinals when they let North Carolina off with a slap on the wrist. And with the 2013 national title being vacated by the Cardinals, does that now make Michigan the national champion? Realistically, it says yes, because Louisville has to vacate the title, and Michigan was the runner-up, so they technically are the national champions, even though they didn't win the game. I'm still going to consider Louisville the national champion, even though they have to vacate the win. I still remember them winning, and I don't know. That's just me. I'm going to consider Louisville to be that national champion, even though they've had to vacate it for this reason, for the scandal. I think for them, the biggest issue is going to be their tarnished reputation. I don't think they care about the wins. I don't think they care about the postseason ban. The money, that's a big chunk of change they have to give back. 4 years worth of revenue sharing, so that's a big one as well. But to me, I think the biggest thing for them is their reputation. You look at Bowen this year, who didn't play for Louisville because of scandals. And there's a dark cloud over this program now. And there has been for a few years. And I think these sanctions only hinder that. They don't help their cause at all. They just add more fuel to that fire. And it'll be interesting to see if any top recruits choose David Padgett and the Cardinals if he stays the head coach after this season. It's interesting. I just think it's an interesting how it all played out. But they brought this on themselves. Whether Patino knew about it or not, it's a whole other story. But it is what it is. They made their own bed. They skirted with danger. They played with fire. They got burnt. And they have to live with that. They have to get back their reputation and their prestige and really start from square one and rebuild this program and get them on good terms, I think, with players around the country, with the NCAA, and go from there. I mean, they have a talented team. Don't get me wrong, and Louisville's a big time name, so I think they're going to be fine in the long run. They just need to get back to ethical decision making, which I think they have over the last little bit for the most part, and by little bit I mean since this whole sex scandal thing. But who knows? We'll see how it all plays out. But the NCAA laid down the hammer and showed they have some balls when it comes to handing out punishments and sanctions. So to recap, they have to vacate wins from 2011-2012 through to 2014-2015. They have to vacate the 2013 national title, which they'll beat Michigan. The Wolverines are now technically, I guess, the 2013 national champions. We'll let you decide that one on your own. They have to vacate their 2012 Final Four appearance. They have to return money from revenue sharing from the NCAA tournament in 2012 through to 2015. That's 4 tournaments worth of money they have to give back and add that onto their self-imposed 2016 ban for the postseason. And here we are. NCAA handing down those sanctions just after, well, at some point today or yesterday. Louisville announced it today, just 5 minutes after 12 o'clock noon Eastern time. You knew it was coming. It was only a matter of time before the sanctions were handed down. And on the 20th of February, we found out what those sanctions were. And now hopefully we can put this behind us, as can Louisville, and we can progress and look forward to the postseason, which starts in about a week. Conference tournaments get underway. I think traditionally the Atlantic Sun is one of the first ones to get underway. So last night, moving on from Louisville because it's going to get beaten to death by media. It already has since this afternoon. So we're not going to talk about it anymore. We're going to look at a couple conference races that got a heck of a lot more interesting, if you will, after Monday night's games. It was a quiet slate for the most part. Handful of games. The big one being Kansas and Oklahoma. The Jayhawks absolutely rolled the Sooners in Lawrence, beat them by 30, 104-74, put up 104 points on Oklahoma. Jayhawks are still on the outside looking in at that Big 12 title, but a win over the Sooners keeps them in the run and keeps them in contention. Notre Dame did a win over Miami, fell at home by 3 to the Hurricanes, 77-74. I think that pretty well seals the deal. The Irish is at large chances, regardless if they win out and go to the final of the ACC. I think they need to win the conference tournament to get in. I don't see that happening at all. So Notre Dame NIT bound for the most part. Wisconsin picked up a 10-point win in overtime over Minnesota, 2 teams that have really disappointed this year. Minnesota's now 3-13 in Big Ten play. That's terrible. That's terrible. Wisconsin's not much better at 6-10, 13-16 on the year. So Brevin Pritzel, 20 points for the Badgers. But I want to look at some of the smaller schools. And anybody who knows me, whether it's personally or through College Court Report, the MEAC conference is near and dear to my heart. And that race just got a hell of a lot more exciting coming down the stretch. Bethune-Cookman was on the road at Morgan State, came into the night 9-3. Isaiah Bailey flirted with a triple-double, put up 28 points and 9 rebounds and 10 assists. The Wildcats slipped past Morgan State on the road 96-95 to move to 10-3. North Carolina A&T, the Aggies, came in at 9-3. They took on Maryland Eastern Shore. Denzel Keys, 21 points and 9 rebounds. The Aggies pick up the 78-69 win to move to 10-3, to stay neck and neck with Bethune-Cookman. And then, coming into the night, Savannah State, the high-octane offense, the Tigers, were on the road at Hampton. Tigers were 10-2. Pirates were 9-4. Kalen Fisher put up 37 points. Put up 10 points in overtime. Hampton outscored Savannah State 22-10 in the extra 5 minutes, rolling to the 114-102 victory. So now you've got Savannah State, Bethune-Cookman, North Carolina A&T, all at 10-3. You've got Hampton at 10-4. Some teams have 2 games left in conference play. Some teams have 3. This last week of conference play is going to be crazy. It's going to be insane. And you can bet on it that we will be watching this closely. Savannah State's lost 2 straight. They're trending the wrong way at the wrong time. They need to regain their winning ways that saw them go on that lengthy win streak in conference play. They've got 2 of their next 3 are on the road. They go at Bethune-Cookman on Saturday, home against North Carolina Central for Senior Day on the Monday, the 26th. And they close out their season Thursday night at South Carolina State. Bethune-Cookman at home is a dangerous team. Inside Moore Gymnasium, they have one hell of a home court advantage when that place is loud. When there are fans in the stands, it's tough to come out of Moore Gymnasium with a win, especially MEAC play. The Tigers host North Carolina Central, should be a win. Then they go on the road to South Carolina State, should be a win. Best case scenario, obviously, is a 3-0 finish. They pick up that extra win over Bethune-Cookman, gives them that tiebreaker if it does come tied. But I think realistically, it's safe to expect them to go 2-1. I think that's a fair assumption. Pick up 2 straight wins, roll into conference tournament on a high. They're pretty much guaranteed, I think, barring some sort of collapse, the Tigers are guaranteed a top 3 seed. I don't think the top 4 are really going to change a whole lot with the Aggies, the Wildcats, Tigers, and the Pirates. I think those will be your top 4 of the tournament. You've got Norfolk State at 9-4, 1 game behind, 1 game out of first. But I think that's where you're going to be. You're going to have the Aggies and Wildcats, Tigers, and Pirates in those top 4 spots. And that's going to be one hell of a tournament down in Norfolk. I know it's the MEAC. I know nobody really cares about the MEAC. But that's one you're going to want to watch. Absolutely. Then you've got the Horizon League. That got a little more drama added to it last night. Wright State, Northern Kentucky, both picked up wins. Are now 13-3 in conference play. 1 game up on UIC. Illinois Chicago picked up their 2nd straight win last night. The Flames took down Detroit Mercy 94-87. Marcus Audie to Kenny Dixon, 20 points apiece. The Flames struggled in non-conference play, to say the least. Picked up 4 wins, 2 over teams in the MEAC, 1 over a non-Division I school. 2 over non-Division I. So they picked up 5 wins in non-conference. My apologies. But since then, they had a 7-game win streak in conference play. They had won 10 of their last 11 before they fell to Cleveland State. And now since they've gone on the road, beat Green Bay, it opened up a 3-game homestand to close the season against Detroit. They have a huge opportunity ahead of them closing out the season. They host Northern Kentucky on Thursday night this week. Friday night, 23rd. And then Sunday, they cap off the regular season at home against Wright State. They have the top 2 teams in the conference coming to their barn to close the regular season. Pick up 2 wins, UIC is going to be your regular season champion. They lost their first 2 meetings to both schools, lost on the road to Wright State by 4, 65-61, got hammered by Northern Kentucky 86-51 in the next outing after that. But now it's in Chicago. The roles are reversed. UIC's at home, where minus that loss against Cleveland State, they've played rather well in conference play. They need to be at their best. And I know that's stating the obvious. But if they play their best, now that they're healthy, they could very well win those next 2 games, enter Horizon League tournament on a 4-game win streak, and roll into Motor City Madness as the top dog in the league. You've got Oakland, 9-7 right now, 17-12, 4 games back. They haven't been healthy all year, but they're still a threat to win that. Kendrick Nunn, transfer from Illinois, has been huge for the Golden Grizzlies this season. I think huge is an understatement. But that's a team you can't sleep on either. You can't sleep on Oakland, even though they haven't been as dominant as most people thought they would be this season. But again, it's the postseason. It's a single elimination tournament on a neutral floor. You can almost consider Oakland and Detroit the home teams, having it being in Detroit. So the MEAC got a heck of a lot more interesting on Monday night. The Horizon League got a heck of a lot more interesting on Monday night as well. Then you add in the SWAC. Southern is now 10-5. Mississippi Valley State, shocked. Prairie View A&M by 5. The Panthers are now 8-6. Arkansas Pine Bluff ended their 4-game losing streak with a 1-point win over Texas Southern. They were down by 18 points at one point. Bartavius McKnight went for 16 points, 6 assists. They're now 10-5. They're kind of back in that mix as well. But everybody's chasing Grambling, who have the nation's longest winning streak at 11 games. That's impressive. So there's a lot of exciting basketball on the horizon that really doesn't center around the power conferences. If you look at some of those smaller leagues, the MEAC, the SWAC, the Horizon League, the Atlantic Sun even though Dunk City is the clear favorite, there's some intriguing matchups in those first-round games, the quarterfinal games. There's a lot of exciting basketball coming up, and the postseason's always exciting. Single elimination tournaments. You're in for good games no matter what league you watch. So check out the MEAC when it comes to the tournament time in Norfolk, Virginia. You won't be disappointed, and if you are, you can call me out for it. I'm okay with that. I want to give a quick shout out to Delaware State before we wrap up today's show. I know it's a short one. It's a little bit late on Tuesday night. Delaware State came into last night at 2-25. 2-25. They hadn't won a game against a Division I school all year. They had wins over Division III Cairn University and Division II Georgian Court. Those 2 wins came in November. They came into last night on a 21-game losing streak. To be honest, you wouldn't have known it, given that they're in the MEAC and how they played last night at home against Coppin State, who are 5-23 coming into the night. Not much better than Delaware State, let's be honest. All 5 of their wins, conference play wins. Marquise Collins went for 23 points, 7 rebounds. Perfect 6 of 6 from the free throw line. Sadiq Edwards came off the bench with 18 points, 3 assists. Delaware State rolled to the 69-51 win. Put up 45 points in the second half on the Eagles, outscored them by 13 to pick up their first Division I win of the season. Shout out to the Hornets, getting it done at home. They've got 3 games left. Could really pick up another win. They've got Maryland Eastern Shore on the 26th of February. They're 2-12 in conference play. They're knocking on the door of the basement as well. That'll be a game for last place. Eastern Shore hosting Delaware State for last place in the MEAC in the regular season standings. Not a spot you want to be in late February, that's for sure. But it's college basketball. It is what it is. But shout out to Delaware State, who now have more conference wins this season than the Pittsburgh Panthers. Good job, Pitt. Well done. You're going places. The hiring of Kevin Stallings is doing real well in Pitt. I think his seat must be pretty well charred and burnt now. The door's been wide open for him to leave all season long. They haven't pulled the trigger. But it's really only a matter of time. It really is. But enjoy Tuesday night's games. You have a much more exciting slate, I would say. You've got number 2 Michigan State in action against Illinois. You've got Ohio State hosting Rutgers. Rhode Island is in action as well. On the road at LaSalle. West Virginia's at Baylor. The Bears are looking to keep their strong play going, kind of work their way back into the projected field of 68 in the tournament. So there's a lot of intriguing games on this evening. So enjoy the slate. I'll be back with you tomorrow, Wednesday. We're going to have Nico Wright. You'll remember him from the first few podcasts before he just stopped coming, stopped doing his thing. He'll join me tomorrow. We're going to talk about Duke, among other things. We're going to look at Marvin Bagley. We're going to look at Oklahoma's chances at March Madness following their loss against Kansas on Monday. Discuss Kentucky and John Calipari, and touch on Andy Kennedy at Ole Miss as well. So we'll have all that and more tomorrow for you. Wednesday morning, we'll post it early. We're going to record late tonight. Post that first thing tomorrow morning for you. Have a listen on your way to work. But until then, thanks for tuning in. I will chat with you tomorrow with Nico, and enjoy tonight's games. We'll talk to you then. Cheers.